of the vent, we're going to stop at this point and get a vent person in here to man the vent. Wait just a second. Okay, with the assistance of now number 3 cannoneer, who will be tending the vent, Don will then proceed in sponging the barrel. Again, he pulls the sponge out halfway, turns it, brings it out halfway, and then back down in and out. Now, again, Don, if you will put your sponge back in the barrel, let me show a close-up of the way you're positioning your hands. Okay, at this point, Don has his fingers and hands positioned around the sponge. Now, if you notice, his thumb is not placed around the shaft. He is keeping an open palms up. Now, show Don the wrong way of doing it. By pushing the thumb all the way over like this, like he's showing, if the gun would prematurely discharge, Don could actually lose his whole hand when the gun would discharge. So the main thing is always keep palms up and open. That way, if the gun would prematurely discharge, the rammer would come out, but it would not take his hand with him. And notice also where Don is standing in position of the muzzle. He is not in front of the muzzle. Now go ahead and proceed to sponge one more time. Again, he's bringing it all the way down to the end. Then he's turning it. Bringing it halfway out, turning it again, bringing it back down, turning it, and then bringing it all the way out. That is the proper procedure for sponging a barrel.
Want to do ramming next? Over here. Yeah, there we go.
The next procedure after wet sponging is what we call dry sponging. In effect, cannon number 2 inserts a dry sponge into the barrel. This is to pick up any excess moisture that might have been put inside the barrel from the wet sponging. The procedure is still the same. Rammer all the way, sponge all the way in, halfway out, back down, turning, and then pulling out. At this point in time, we are now ready for the charge.
Okay.
Okay.
Why don't we get another number 5? You want it?
Right now, the cannoneer number 2 is in position, ready to receive the charge. Notice he's standing inside the wheel. Number 5 man comes up forward, lifts the pouch, while number 2 reaches in and picks up the charge. He is turning from the inside, bringing the charge underneath the muzzle and inside the muzzle. Now let's take that out, Don. Let's show it a close-up of that. I'd like to show a close-up of you turning. He has received the charge. Now he is turning from the inside, bringing the charge underneath the muzzle, and then inserting it inside the bore. At this point, cannoneer number 1 then would insert the rammer, and then we'll show you from that the next position from there. At this time, cannoneer number 1 brings the rammer head up to the bore and then rams the charge down. Notice he's not throwing the rammer in, he's not hitting it hard, he's seating the rammer he's seating the charge into the bottom of the bore. A lot of people make a mistake by thinking if they ram that charge down in hard, it's going to make a bigger noise. Show them like that. The only thing this does is take a chance of bursting the powder charge and exposing raw powder into a hot bore. So the method would be to just gently standing behind the muzzle, reaching in and nicely seating the charge, bringing the rammer out, stepping behind the wheel, and then as a safety measure we then put the rammer on the hub of the wheel. This allows everyone to know that the gun does have a charge in the bore of the vent. The next command will be ready the piece. First of all, I want you to take note of how the thumb is placed over the vent. Of course, this is done very first thing. The very first command is tend the vent. So, and number 1 and number 2 cannoneers that are on the front of the gun are always in constant view of number 3 with his thumb on the vent. Again, this is to make sure that there is no air that will be passed between the barrel while all the sponging and worming techniques are being done. Now again, the next command would be ready the piece. So at this point, cannoneer number 3 takes out his vent pick. He inserts it into the vent, spins it around. Now if you will put that back in, let me show them what not to do. Never put your finger like that, or like that with your thumb, or anything like that. You want to keep the vent pick between your 2 fingers and place it down. Now if this barrel actually had a charge in it, when the vent would be placed into the vent, it would actually stop part way while it was sitting on top of your powder charge. It would actually be about right into that position. And that would be one way that you would know that the charge is properly seated, because your vent would stop part ways down. At that point, then you would push it on down, and then you can spin it if you'd like, and then pull it back out. At that point in time, number 4 man inserts the friction primer, while number 3 man puts the vent pick over the string, which is actually not done back during the Civil War days, but we do it as a practice procedure. And then at the command fire, number 4 man will pull the lanyard. Fire. At that point in time, the gun is discharged, and the procedure starts all over again by tending the vent and then worming the gun. Again, we would worm to make sure that, for example, we're using aluminum foil type charges. A lot of times there'll be aluminum foil that's remained in the bottom of the bore. So by worming, that would remove that obstruction from the bore.
Like I say, I think I want to do this again sometime. What you might want to do?
At this time, we're going to demonstrate now the firing of the cannon.
Simmons, first detail for practice purposes only. Load by detail. Load. Case shot, 850 yards. Attend the vent.
Been attended.
Worm.